So let's start with just a short intro into how the Kind Power was born. It was actually founded by me, Juliana. I call myself actually a chief volunteer at our nonprofit organization. And it was inspired by not just me traveling to different countries and seeing how other people live, but also by a lot of work that I have done expanding digital payments globally. And the catalyst for this movement was actually my trip to Buenos Aires earlier this year, where I was asked to present uh, at one of the conferences and inspire women to fight for their financial independence. And it was a very interesting event because I flew all the way to Buenos Aires just to realize that most of my audience uh, at the event were men. And I was like, where are all the women? But it was very endearing to me to hear some of the feedback from all of those men because they were, how can we support your mission? Can you come to our country? And it was kind of a global event. So we had people from Bolivia, Ecuador, Africa, Asia. So all of us men were saying, can you come to our country and do a similar talk to inspire more women to join the movement? So when I came back to US, I was really inspired to take us to next level and start a nonprofit organization. And now it's becoming a global movement. I'm so excited about it because it's a great movement rooted in compassion, purpose, and impact. And just a little bit about me. I personally were not born into money. I grew up in a former Soviet Union where my family lost all of the savings when the economy collapsed. There was a time that we had no money for food, we had no security, and I didn't have any toys when I was growing up to play with. I actually ended up selling fruit at the market, and even sometimes my grandfather's cigarettes just to help my family. And even then, I had a dream to build a better future where no child had to struggle the way I did. So at the age of 19, I came to US. I came with a program, student exchange program for Columbia University, and I only had $100 in my pocket. And actually, that money I borrowed from my aunt. It was not even my money. So I had to work really, really hard and study hard as well to build my career. I ended up being a senior leader at Apple, and I played a key role in expanding Apple Pay globally. And in 2023, I started my own company, and I was also recognized as top 10 women in tech. All of this great, and I love this image because a lot of it sounds great on social media. I've done all of that, but in reality, I had a lot of scars. I had to be in a lot of battles. And I also had to face a lot of rejection, skepticism while working with the investors, or even just navigating a male dominant tech environment. And unfortunately, to share, I had to endure myself emotionally and financially abusive relationship. Where there was a moment in my life where I lost my confidence. I lost my support system. I lost that sense of security. Even I lost my home. I felt like I hit the rock bottom. But I choose to rise again. I am rebuilding my life, my leadership, and my vision from the ground up. And I'm doing so by transforming my own pain into purpose for the kind power. As a matter of fact, I'm not alone, and neither are you. There are a lot of women that had to go through similar challenges. As a matter of fact, over 1 in 3 women globally have experienced physical or sexual partner violence. And what happens, women in these abusive relationships, they often face control over their finances, limited independence, and they have limited escape options. According to the World Bank, there are over 740 million women that actually still remain unbanked. And these women, they are more likely to become victims of financial fraud, especially if they have low digital and financial literacy. They have a lack of access to education and legal rights, and that creates and compounds long-term socioeconomic vulnerability. And these challenges, they're not just personal, they're actually systemic challenges. And what it does, it actually creates those invisible barriers. But impact of abuse, inequity, and trauma impacts our children. It basically limits their opportunity in life. And that's kind of transforms into the mission for the kind power, because our mission is actually to empower women and children and any survivors of domestic, emotional, or financial abuse. And we do that through trauma-informed support, for coaching, healing programs, financial literacy, and education. We don't just want to help survivors heal, we want to help them rise and lead. That's why I'm so excited to welcome Brian, who is a co-contributor to the Kind Power mission. He's also founder of Heart-Centered Mind, Body, and Spirit coaching practice to share his journey with us and hopefully inspire you to find your purpose. Over to you, Brian.
Thanks, Juliana. Okay. Let me pull up my handy dandy presentation. Okay, looking good. Thanks again, Juliana. So I wish I should have put my Joker happy face Joker comparison like you had. That I love that one. Very resonant. So first off, thank you everyone for being here. A lot has got into this on so many levels. I see some familiar, I don't see them, but I see them in the chat, some familiar faces and stuff. So thank you for that select few of you who are here to support me. And then I'm sure there's some of you who have no idea who I am, which is why I started on this slide. And thanks for Julian and the Kind Power for putting this together. And this we've been looking forward to this. So we got a bunch of good stuff for you here. This a lot of thought went into this, but it's meant to kind of speak to sort of more or less everyone, right? So I don't know everyone who's watching this, maybe watching this later if that's feasible. So I've thought of this as there's people who are sort of in it being, in a problematic relationship, in a tricky spot in life, sort of just in the muck. There's people who are sort of out of it and healing and working through things. And then there's people who are sort of, they've gotten through that and now they're looking for what's next. So just as a quick preface, and I'll get into this later on. Um, if you get bored, sit tight because it's meant to speak to different levels and there's something for everyone. So as a quick intro on me, I, have gone through a lot and I had a lot of challenge, like I'm like everyone, I've had a lot of challenging spots in life, but I've always been a learner. I've always been a seeker, someone looking to do something meaningful, looking to, help others. And so I'll touch on this as we go, but right now, public facing, I have these different brands, these different social media accounts and stuff where I'm sort of bringing to light some of these issues that are rampant, and we'll get into some of the statistics. It's pretty prevalent. So, I'm a coach. I have a coaching practice business. I have Emily, which I'll speak to her. Like I have a lot of good stuff. Tons of people reach out to me. So I'm in a position where apparently, this topic and what we're going to be getting into is so kind of the timing and relevance of it seems to be pretty strong. So maybe that's why you showed up. But anyway, so that's me trying to help, trying to do good. I don't know. We'll keep it moving. So and then I'll send you links and everything, so you don't have to take too many notes. I'll send you notes and stuff after in the chat. If you want to get in touch with me, if you want to find my stuff. So moving through. So first, I just wanted before I keep rambling on stuff, I just wanted to do kind of a quick kind of check in. If you want to, I can't see your eyes, but if you want to close your eyes or sort of soften your gaze, let's kind of just check in with where we are, right? So we're here, just kind of check in on your body. Just take a deep breath, if you will, with me, and just kind of see or rather feel what you're feeling, right? Feel it to heal it. We're gonna at least feel something. So just kind of register what you're feeling, right? So for me, I'm feeling a lot of excitement to share with you guys, just the people that I know here, some nerves, but anyway, just kind of check in on what you're feeling and see if you can notice where that feeling resides. Is it in your stomach? Is it in your like where in your throat? Like where in your body do you feel that feeling? For me, it's kind of the upper stomach right now. And sort of the exercise with this is not just the recognition and the identification of it, but can you be with it without resistance? Can you kind of just be with the feeling and just sort of accept it without trying to change it? And the last thing would be if you do the full exercise, sort of see if there's any wisdom in that feeling, see if there's anything what it's trying to show you, what it's trying to tell you. This is how you can access your subconscious mind, your intuition, your gut. Like, see if there's any sort of message or, yeah, is it trying to show you anything? Okay. We can come out of that when you're ready. And that's one of my favorites. See, I already feel dropped in. I already feel more kind of grounded. As a quick recap, drop in, identify the feeling, where it is located in your body. See if you can sort of locate it. Third step, can you be with it without resistance? Can you kind of just accept it and not fight it? And then the fourth step is trying to ask and listen. Is there any message or wisdom? So hopefully you feel more grounded and a little bit more kind of tranquil as we ramp back up to the cerebral and the words. Thanks for playing along. Um, so a big thing about this theme of like what I wanted to do for this whole, you know, uh, is trying to make it relevant on like we're here to it's on identity level, right? Like there's a few tactics, there's a few things, but like what you really presumably want or what I would want and what I want in my own life is like sort of to transition from things are happening to you, this happens, this was the challenge, like, and sort of transform that mindset, that identity to things are happening for you. Life is happening for you. And I italicized identity because I think that's the crux of one of the real pillars of like how you can sort of take a hard look at your life and how you can improve it is like we want the identity of like I'm sure you don't walk around saying you're a victim, but like we all have victim mentality on different levels. We all have, I have it, like it crops up. We all have different levels of sort of victim mentality, and we want to identify that and sort of as best we can change the identity to one that's more empowering, but one that's, so anyway, so as we go through this, I kind of want to infuse it through that lens of identity. Of like, as we go through the exercise, as we go through the questions, like, think about it on an identity level of like, what is your sense of self, right? You're here because why? You have no other options because this is an opportunity to learn something, because like everything is kind of like sort of monitor your self-talk. So you're here now, you're the main character. Anyone else, like this is about you. This is about sort of propping you up. And I'm after transformation. So that's another word, you know, I'm a growth seeker. The people I pull into my life, Juliana, like we're here to have some level of transformation, not stagnant. Nature is either growth or decay. So we're here for growth. So, all right, moving forward. So some quick stats that are kind of alarming, but narcissistic abuse is, it's one of those things where I've yet to speak to someone and be like, oh, like if as soon as this topic comes up, like it seems like at this point, maybe I'm in just in a weird echo chamber in my world, but it seems like everyone has dealt with this on some level. And if not narcissistic abuse, certainly different levels of like really challenging, problematic on a really sort of emotion taking an emotional toll on you level. 1 in 3 women have experienced it, 1 in 4. It's not a joke. It causes CPTSD and 94% of survivors. Gaslighting, 96%, essentially 100% of the time. That's sort of par for the course. Um, People go back 7 times before it, like you try to leave, you try to leave. That's happened to me multiple times. You try to leave, try to leave. This is the last time. So I always say, when is enough enough? The 7X, if there's no 8X in this case, it's because you hit your enough's enough. Like, when is enough enough? That's again sort of ties back to the identity thing of like in your sense of self, in your identity, when is enough enough for what you're willing to tolerate, right? So like these are the things that we want to get to. But anyway, the point of this is um, the stats are very alarming. And then the social media, like these buzzwords, narcissistic, this, that, and I'm one of them who throws these words on the internet. Like it's just seen basically a 10,000% increase over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. And then I would say the bottom one, only 33% of people get help. And maybe that's a financial reason, maybe that's a fear reason, maybe that's they don't have um, you know a sense of how they can get help. So in any case, people don't always get help, which I don't love that. So think about that too. If you're someone, and I don't care if it's this specific thread, but just in general, like we all need help. There's certain things that it's like, just are you looking or asking for help with what you're going through? That's another filter to run through of like, okay, I'm having this presenting problem. This is reoccurring in my life. This is a reoccurring pattern. Am I at least trying to get help? Right. And I would encourage you to be the 33% that do get help. So why is this hurt so much? Well, as Juliana and I have discussed, sometimes physical things, if you get in if you fall, scrape your knee, like there's a scabbing, there's a healing. Emotional wounds they're tricky and they can last. And the things people have said to you, like, so there's a psychological, emotional component to this that makes it really tricky. So I mean, my whole channel is basically on this. So there's certainly more to get into, but it's it's just kind of to say like if you're going through something, you're not just super, I'm sure you are super sensitive and empathetic, and I'm sure there's tender spots to you, but when you've gone through something really challenging, it's not because you're weak, it's not because you're overly sensitive, like it's essentially going to take a toll. Um, and so, but it is recoverable, right? So there is hope. You can get through it. I'm living proof of that. So as many other people who are listening to this. So hope exists. Um, and a couple, so I picked out, this was a tough one because I have so many reframes and lenses and as you're picking up on. So I want to go through a couple of my pet favorite, Wabi Sabi, Kintsugi, and Via Negativa to help you if you're someone, again, speaking to the person who's in it, trying to heal in a tough spot, speaking to those people. And again, quite frankly, this applies to no matter where you are in life, but that's sort of the general overlay. So wabi sabi is the beauty, and so these are all Japanese philosophies. By the way, if you've never been to Japan, highly recommend. Best trip of my life. I mean, definitely top one, maybe two. And um, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But they have these beautiful philosophies that I just sort of cling to, and it's almost like on a unconscious level. Like I just find so much beauty in their in how they like put words to this stuff. But so wabi sabi, beauty and imperfection and permanence. So if you had like so one thing I want to highlight with this, and when I speak with clients, there's this notion that if a relationship doesn't last forever, it's a failure, or you're a failure, or you failed the relationship. Like that's something I hear, that's something I see, that's sort of a societal, cultural motif. And I don't think that's the case. I think things have a natural cycle. Not everything's meant to last forever. And you might have wanted something or thought something would last forever, and that's okay. But uh, it's actually sometimes the best thing is to have the impermanence of it. Like sometimes that's the best option, even if it's imperfect. Like there's beauty in that. There's beauty in what you're going to learn, what you're going to heal from, um, all that kind of stuff. And when you stop resisting that, that's where the healing begins. So sort of just allowing a natural life cycle. And also the gratitude of it, right? Like if nothing lasts forever, memento mori, little grotesque for people, remember you will die. Like there's a gratitude in the impermanence because that's we're sort of wired to value scarcity and things that don't last, and sort of you can't just cling to it and grip it and hold it forever. You have to just appreciate it and be grateful for what you had while you have it, etc. So that's my stab at explaining wabi sabi. Um, Kintsugi, another kind of related one, is putting together broken pottery, as you see in the image. The cracks aren't hidden, they're highlighted. Our scars are our story. You're not broken, you're being rebuilt stronger, more beautifully, wiser. So I love this practice they have with Kintsugi of like taking, this broken cup and putting it back together and showcasing that they didn't polish over the cracks, right? It's like sort of there's a pride, there's a like, hey, it's better and different than where it started. So I like that one. Um, I would say you're not broken. So I also want to say I had one client when I say you're not broken. I had one client tell me, "Well, I never said I was broken," and it's like fair enough. So if you don't identify if you don't identify as like maybe bruised, maybe not, like it's not, it's certainly not meant to be make it any worse. But you get the point. Like if you're feeling, if you've been in a compromised position, you're trying to mend things, put it back together, it can come back better, more stronger, more beautiful. And my last but not least, via negativa, which is subtraction, elimination, not addition. So I could do a whole, you know, 7 minute, 70 minute, 7 hour TED talk on this one. Uh, there's probably a lot of things in your life that, like, because we always say, oh, what do I need to do? I gotta go to this gym, change this, that. Like, a lot of things that you want really come through subtraction, right? What relationships that are not serving you, if you get rid of them, subtract them, you know, guilt cycles, toxic circles, italicized your inner critic, right? So if we really took the time to think about what in your life would, like, how could, what would benefit your life by removing it? Like, that's like, and even on a, not just a relationship level, right? Bad foods, bad habits, bad, like, there's so bad social media, like there's so many things we ingest and consume. And then also internally, the negative thoughts that you say, the negative, the inner critic, the the FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. Like, there's so much that. So this is what I do. This is what, like, a lot of this. I just feel too weird saying things that have no actual reality or relevance in my life. So my team knows I'm going through my own vision, putting together. And the first thing I do, I can't even think about the vision or the strategy or the new this, or we should do that, or we should expand over here. I can't think about any of that stuff until I start with the energy drains and what I want to remove and what I need to remove so that I can think clearly, sort of clear the deck. So again, this whole presentation is meant to have pockets of usefulness. The homework here would be, you could sort of write down and list out um, some negative things that would help if you got rid of them. So um, yeah, okay. So a little bit of my story, the kind of how I got into all this stuff, going through my own chaos. This photo was taken in back when I lived in LA, sort of in Topanga, Pacific Palisades, which is supposed to be a nice area. It is, but this is like one of the lowest moments I've ever felt. And that's saying a lot. So, like, ultimately things have to come down to a decision. You have to decide, like, for me, it's like, I'm not willing to tolerate this anymore. And I don't know how to get it. I don't know the how, I just know the why. And the why is, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of just suffering. And so I'm gonna figure it out. I have a strong, if you have a strong enough why, then the how will reveal itself. You'll figure out the how. So, again, think about kind of where you are. Are you ready to make a decision? What decisions have you made on a core level? Like, I am not willing to, like, enough's enough. I'm not willing to tolerate this. I'm gonna figure out a better way. I'm gonna figure out a path that aligns with who I want to be, etc. But the point, I didn't just jump into coaching, right? I always joke with people, like, when I was a kid, I didn't dream of being a narcissistic abuse coach and things like that. So we go through life, and I didn't just wake up and be like, oh, I want to talk about this stuff. It's like, you can use your story and what you've gone through to inform, like, who you ultimately are being. And there's blessing, and there's even though I didn't originally conceive of what I do now, it's been an absolute blessing. I'll give pockets of that, meeting Emily, meeting tons of different, wonderful clients and stuff like that. So, from chaos to coaching, or for you, from chaos to, wherever you want to do. Right. So that's kind of another one of our themes, is turning the pain into purpose. Like, your story is someone else's survival guide. Right. So a lot of times we'll do more for others than we'll do for ourselves. And if you think about it that way, it's like, people you don't even know are sort of tacitly rooting for you and encouraging you because how you transform your pain, how you like what you do with your life and how you repurpose it into purpose can be someone else's survival guide. You can help a lot of people based on your own, kind of past challenges and what you figured out. So let's see. Okay. Interactive component. Everybody can perk up if they were drilling. Um, so quick, quick chat in the chat. Kind of if you agree with this framework, because I don't want to overlay something you might not even agree with, but kind of three options. Are you in it, still out of it and healing, or sort of you're kind of beyond that, looking for more, ready to rise? Like kind of if you agree with those three options, feel free to just put something else that feels more relevant to you. But kind of where, like, so I can get a sense of where people are who's listening right now. For the people who are listening, right? Like, kind of are you in it, just out of it and healing, or sort of beyond that, looking for more, looking to turn all your past into purpose? Like, kind of where are we in those? And then someone give me some feedback. Lucila's still in it. LH, LH. I might know that LH. Healing journey, ready for more. Um,
Looks like a
Sarah,
pretty balanced mix again of all three from my perspective.
Sean Baker's still healing. Sarah never was in it. Amazing, beautiful. She followed the instructions and came up with her own answer. Luciana almost on the other side. Alicia, 1 foot in, 1 foot in. Anne's watching my adult daughter heal from a recent relationship. Lynn's still in it. So we got a good. We got a good mix. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, that makes sense, and that's sort of the trajectory that I've seen that was relevant in my life. There's sort of I think of things in levels and progressions, and I also want to know kind of where people are. And again, this is going to speak to wherever you are in those three pockets. So again, become the guide you never had. You're the answer someone's praying for. So if you made it here, then you want more, you want to do more, you want to be more, you want to give more. It's just kind of how it would have to be for you to make it this far in this whole saga that we're doing. So so the thing about it is, like, when you're stuck in your own stuff, you're probably not thinking about what else is going on. Like, you're probably not thinking, oh, I could help someone else, this could be a blessing, I can help other people. So just I always want to I know how hard it can be when you're rooted and in it and stuck, and even when you're trying to heal, I know how tough it can be. So it's sort of like just giving you a little bit of perspective of, like, just there's a bigger calling for you. There's a bigger purpose. In fact, the more pain you've gone through, there's probably more of the opportunity because you have more to speak to. You'll have more of like a connection to it. And you'll be more motivated to do something about it. And ultimately, you can, be the guide that you never had. So for the people who are sort of moving through and like want more of a way to use it, that's what we're going to kind of speak to that. And what I've done as a coach, as a creator. So a couple stats on sort of the coaching creator opportunity. It's enormous. The coaching industry's 20 billion, creator economy 250 billion, healing content, as I said earlier, 100% rise. I said 10,000% earlier, but the thing is, it's a big number and it's definitely rising. And then the average coaches can make 5 to 15K, once your audience is built. So again, this is going to speak to those people who are looking for more, or even the people who are in it and giving them sort of a carrot or something to think about. If you're in it, this could be a little bit of a piece of like, oh, here's an option, or here's some like future opportunities for you. And if you're already looking for more opportunities, that's what this is going to speak to. And why this matters now. So turning pain into purpose is a culture shift. I was reading the other day that, I think there's, with Gen Z in particular, like younger generations, there's just a huge mass exodus of people not wanting to be in corporate or jobs that they don't fulfill them. Like, I feel like finally at a societal level, we're tipping more and more towards things have to matter, right? You get one life. People are not willing to do things that don't matter to them. They used to. We used to be able to just like throw people in assembly lines and, like your life's purpose is to sit here and like be 1/10 of a car making. But now with the internet and with awareness and with sort of a raised consciousness or raised collective intelligence, coupled with us witnessing all the atrocities that are going on in the world, sort of now is the time, now is the shift towards people want to do things that matter. And so that's kind of what this is about. I hear that every day. I see that every day. I live that every day. So I think it's a really good time and this guy's staring at the edge of a cliff looking for his purpose. So that's how I came up with that image. So a couple options. If you want them, I'll drop them in the chat and you can find out more information later. But trying to give some, at least for me, right? There's the kind power. There's going to be many ways that you could find opportunities and ways to progress. So I'm going to offer a couple that I have that I can speak to. So if you're on path one, and you're still healing, I have some one-on-one coaching. You'd be speaking with Emily Barron right now, who's my head coach. And so I'll drop the link if you want help kind of moving through it and getting the healing you want, and you want to be that 33% who was getting professional help and getting actually like taking the steps to help your life. That'll be an option for you. And then if you're sort of maybe beyond that, or you're more motivated just to get to helping other people, which is fair. I mean, so honestly, a lot of people I think are more motivated just to like give and be of service than they are necessarily to heal themselves. I would recommend both, but either way, you have an option through me to get the healing, to get the coaching, and then I also put together a pain to purpose membership, creator coaching. If you want to learn how to be a coach, if you want to learn how to build social media, like I didn't spend any money on ads, right? So you share your message. If you want to learn how to share your message, share your heart, share your knowledge, share your wisdom, and turn that into a business that makes you money and helps people and allows you to meet super awesome, rad people if you're aligned and, kind of authentic because your vibe attracts your tribe. Essentially everything that I've done the last 2 years that would save you a lot of time if you knew. Um, I put together sort of people who are ready to lead, ready for more. So I'll drop the link for that. And that includes, you know, all sorts of stuff, everything you need, content, self-paced modules, everything you need, accountability, group support, all the prongs, the 3 C's, right? Care, community, content. So you get content on how to do it, you get a community of people who are doing it, and then you get the care, you get the support in the form of, different formats, group coaching, email, etc. So just briefly, you know, there's some options for you, and I can add those for you in the chat in a bit. So, and I want to do like I actually have a lot of not a lot, but a good number of testimonials of real results. People going from survivor to leader, and I want to do a case study of Emily because she was one of my first clients, and she kind of went through my one-on-one coaching. She's been through narcissistic abuse and everything that I've been saying on a theoretical level of like, oh, you can do it, and you can things can get better, and you can turn your pain into purpose. Like I sort of want to just speak to on a more specific level. Like I see this daily with my clients, and you can become you can go from survivor to leader, survivor to or whatever to whatever. Like there definitely can be very positive trajectory for you. So Emily's one that she started with me, and she, you know, kind of going through her highly challenging relationship, marriage, divorce, co-parenting, like all the things. Worked with me, built herself up, got herself on a good track, and is very passionate about coaching and is very wants to give back. She's like very heart centered, very sort of wants to give, wants to be of service. And so she did the work to heal herself, to get herself on a good, you know, get herself on her 2 feet after going through a lot. And then ultimately becoming a coach, helping others. She works with clients now, sort of taking all her what she's gone through and giving it, helping it with her clients. She's passionate about coaching. So that's one of several, you know, case studies, if you will, of people actually doing this, right? And there's a lot of messages within that, nested within that. One is, again, as bad as it feels, as bad as things seem, it can get better. It will get better. You can do something with it. Like that's a huge one. I also want to sort of highlight that uh, I think when you show up in purpose or in alignment or in sort of a more grounded, authentic place, you're going to attract the right people. There is not a job application job board in the world that would have allowed me to meet with Emily, collaborate with her, have her become someone who's, you know, now, you know, we're coaching and supporting people and doing stuff together on a business collaboration associate level. Like there is not a job board in the world that would have allowed me to connect with her. It's only through actually just so that's kind of the cool thing. It's sort of a life hack is like you can actually a lot of like the hardest work of like how am I going to find the right people? How am I going to find the right mentors, the right coaches, the right team members? The more you sort of show up, the kind of the better, the more the of the right things you attract. And so, I mean, that'll save you. You know, I could have spent 10,000 hours trying to find coaches. I almost did, but ultimately, it was clear that she was kind of, you know, the option. So I love the Phoenix rising. You're not, you know, you're not broken again. You're being rebuilt, stronger. Everything happened to you. Can, I italicized can, right? Attention to detail can be used for you. Why is can italicized? It's not just a given thing. You're going to have to at least raise your hand. You're at least going to have the desire. You're going to have to do, you know, do something. But ultimately, everything that happened to you can be used for you if you allow it to, right? So just think about that's I love the Phoenix too. It's like, right, rising from the ashes. So how can you be the Phoenix? If that's relevant to you, if that's resonant for you, how can you be the Phoenix rising from the ashes? And how can you use what's happened to you? How can you use that for your life? How can you use that to sort of benefit, aid and abet the direction that you want to go? Um, so we'll open it up a little bit. We're going to do a whole FAQ or a whole Q&A after. I'm going to pass it back to Juliana in a sec here. Then we'll do a full Q&A at the end, but just kind of want to, if you guys want to chat for me, what's your biggest takeaway from today? Did anything, you know, ring true, or was anything interesting for you? What's your biggest takeaway thus far? If you want to chat it, that'd be nice. Everybody's thinking. It's not that they just left, they're just thinking. So reminding me, a couple answers reminded me how much helping other people helped me in my own healing years ago. My favorite story was the two wolves. Can you define narcissistic? Uh, that's fair. There is a way to heal, and purpose is important. Never feed the monster. If you have gone through it, you have survived the hardest part. Now it's time to rebuild. Okay, those are good answers. Do you ever fully recover from narcissistic abuse? Yes, but it takes a little time. Uh, narcissist, no capacity for self-reflection. That learning to heal can translate into helping others. Yes. Leverage pain to grow, flourish, help others, ride momentum. I like that. I'm gonna heart that one. I would heart them all. I like them all. Um, beautiful. Great answers. Your story is someone else's survival guide. Very good. It's reassuring to know that my audio and everyone was at least listening to some of this. Not trying to avoid feeling the pain. Yep. That's a big one. It's a big one for me. I go back to that a lot. I'm still in it, ready to go. A little stuck at the moment. I like the stats you gave in the beginning. Very nice. I think I have more narcissistic relationships I was aware of, so would love to hear what it means for you. Not resisting, like you said. Okay. Thank you for chiming in. Those are great takeaways, beautiful reflections. And so yeah, we'll drop the links. My name, it's basically my name everywhere. My hello at my name, Brian Comstock. First dot last Brian Comstock. Instagram, briancomstock.com. Just trying to make it super kind of easy. But I'll drop the links if you want to get in touch or have questions or whatnot. Um, Luciana, I like the way you structured the talk. Easy to understand. We are not alone. So many people going through this, and I'm so ready to help others heal, keep through their pain. Thank you. Get through the pain. Yep. Okay. Well, I will pass it back to Juliana. Thank you guys for playing along, for listening. Hope you got something from it. And I'll pass it back to Juliana, and then we can kind of keep moving.
Thank you, Brian. Right, I'll just take a few more minutes before we jump into Q&A. So just to wrap up this great presentation by Brian, I want to transition into what actually we could do to bring the Kind Power mission to life. And that's pretty much in line with what Brian has been sharing, because first of all, in order to help a lot of people, we need to build a team. And it has to be a purpose-led team. We think that it should be a team of coaches, healers, educators, and advocates. That's why if you become a coach, we would definitely would like to have you on the team. We also want to grow a heart-centered community of supporters for healing and empowerment of others. We are actually building and forming a lot of partnerships in order to expand our impact and reach. As a matter of fact, we just recently partnered with Media of Society nonprofit or with Cybersecurity Collective. We're also forming global alliances with mission-aligned organization And again, just last week, I was talking to an organization that supports a lot of women and children within the Philippines and other parts of Asia. So it's becoming kind of a global movement. We also have some folks from Argentina and Spain on the call. Uh, and in order to be able to scale this mission, we also want to build our leadership team. And I am actually interviewing folks for our leadership positions because we need to do a lot of work. We need to also secure grants and sponsorships. We are hosting more events here locally in Austin, and we'll be hosting more virtual events as well. And we do that not just to raise the awareness, but also to build our support groups and also to raise funding for our programs. So if you do want to support, you are very, very welcome to join us, join our community as a volunteer, as a coach, healer, educator, an advocate. You are all welcome. I'm just showing some links here to our website. You can send us an email. We will also send out a follow-up email with giving some of the links, information, and other ways you can reach out to us. So thank you so much, everyone. And now we could transition to feedback, questions. You can drop them in the chat. And if you're really, really called out to speak out and share that, through voiceover, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. Again, thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here.
I actually have a question. Sorry, I popped the question when we were looking for the feedback. I actually had a call that I had to take. As Brian was speaking, I was actually thinking that, when I used to think about narcissistic relationship, it would be in the context of sort of a personal relationship, right? And as he was going for the presentation, I thought about maybe actually it does sort of expands into the workplace sometimes, right? So I'd be curious to know, like, Brian, how would you define like a narcissist or narcissistic dynamic? Because I think, I'm actually thinking like what, I may have experienced in other areas of my life, that I wasn't sort of consciously aware of. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I wasn't aware of it either at the time. But it definitely, and you can, there's kind of, you could, Google or AI the like a 10-point checklist, but and I can give you some of my personal context, but just to speak to what you're sort of hitting on, it absolutely, because people are people. People are not your partner. They're not your boss. They're not your. They're all these things. They're all like wherever you go, there you are. And how so if you're, they do have sort of situational differences, because if you're not, really close with them, you might not see the sort of the dark side. You might actually only see like the good side, the charm, the like happy side, or the kind of public facing side. But yeah, I mean, I've gone through it kind of every iteration of relationships I can think of, business partners, roommates, old quote unquote friends, romantic stuff for sure. Yeah, so I think that it definitely will. I think it can be relevant. In fact, I get ones I didn't even, sort of think of. Like I get messages, what if it's my son? What if it's my mother? What if it's my daughter? What if it's like, what if it's a family member? What if it's like, so it's sort of, it can happen in any permutation, just to hit that. It's not a like context, you know, dependent sort of thing. It's a human thing that sort of emanates into and bleeds into these different formats of relationships. Um, so there's that, and then also the sort of deeper intertwine. Like if you end up doing, for example, like business, or you have a boss you've worked with, or someone, someone that the relationship, whatever type of relationship is, over a course of years, or becomes sort of deeper and more important because of just the nature of what you guys are trying to do together. Like that's where it's going to get that to me is the correlation. So like either the time or this sort of level of involvement, I guess. Like the deeper, essentially the deeper you are in with them, the more things can get turned around. So that's sort of my second piece. But as far as defining them, I mean, I've a whole channel on that, and then there's also you can get a 10-point checklist and kind of just run through it. But I would say without just like regurgitating 10 bullet points, I would say um so here's one that I recently kind of went through. If if regardless of the details, regardless of the he said, she said, like if you just sort of just temporarily ignore like everything, not they did that, not you did the if at the end of the day you're just feeling more confused, your self-worth's going down, your confidence is going down, like basically your mood, mental health, like if as like the more you try to work with them, the more kind of things are getting confusing, the more you walk away frustrated, and then you come back, you're like, wait a minute, like I thought this was supposed to, like that's to me is a pretty clear sign that you're dealing with someone who's clearly not good for your mental well-being, right? So there's certain people who are they're going to take every opportunity to support you, to try to rebuild you, to try to encourage you. And then there's people that, again, regardless of the details, because it can happen on like a subconscious level that you might not fully pick up on. You can try to retroactively analyze, which I always do, because it's like a conscious thing. You're like, oh, it's because they did this and then this happened and I went left and then they went. You can try to retroactively analyze it, but in a lot of ways, that's a waste of time. It's like if at the end of the day, the more you go with them, the deeper it gets, the more you try to involve yourself, you just feel more and more turned around, more and more confused, confidence going down, self worth going down. It's like you don't even have to explain it on a play by play level at that point. That to me, that's one that I recently went through. I'm not going to get into the details of it at this point, but that's one that, you know, so I would say you could try to, again, you can easily define them and get their diagnostic level checklist of who they are, their patterns, whatever. And there's some books you can read if you're really transfixed on them, which I understand. I started with that. I even wrote a blog post. Like you can start with them, but then I would encourage you to get to the you piece, which is how are you feeling? Kind of how is this registering in your body keeps the score, in your nervous system, and your emotional health? Like that's to me the ultimate litmus test. Not really, them. It's ultimately like how, and some people might have, it might be fun. Like they're used to bumping and bruising, and maybe they don't, So anyway, I just hopefully that's a little bit on your question. Thank you, Katya.
Thank you, Brian.
Do we have any other questions that they still haven't answered?
I don't see any specific questions, but I was curious when Cheryl, you had written women's shelters, was that like following up on something that was said previously? I was just curious about that. But no, I don't see any actual questions.
I have a question. And come on here. Yeah. Hi, guys. Thank you, Brian, for everything that you shared. Can you guys see me? The light is kind of weird. So with narcissism, there's like, it just feels, maybe it's just me, but like a heaviness to that. And I feel like I've learned so much from my experiences, and it's made me really like just blossom as a person in so many ways, like really get to know myself and be empowered actually from such experiences. So I'm just wondering, like, I mean, you obviously spoke a lot about the solution and how to look at things, but like, do you think in society there's a way to maybe, yeah, just look more positively at that word? and collectively kind of have a higher understanding of it, if that makes sense.
So you're saying like it kind of just feels like a heavy, not fun topic that's sort of
Yeah.
widely blanketed and
And like blanketed, yeah.
blanketed, and so you feel like there's just like a rain, a downpour of like this like heavy negative vibe blanket, and you're trying to figure out how to relate
People
to.
want to, yeah, people want to avoid the conversation. Like they don't want to accept that people are narcissistic or maybe have, their own hurt around that, both of those things. Yeah, it's kind of like not socially acceptable to have these conversations. But yeah, we all deal with it, right? And actually, ironically, I feel like in media, it is socially acceptable to like act narcissistic. So then we have
Yes.
that value system in the content that we consume, you know?
Yeah, that
So
took me that mental puzzle took me a while to untangle before I've like decided to do social media. So I understand that. um, well, I'm still trying to like I don't want to just like go off in the wrong direction. So is it more because like getting people to like no, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm narcissistic. You know, that's like sort of a catch 22 of their personality traits. But so is it more like you're seeing it all over social? Is it kind of just like you bring in your kind of vibe down, or and like I just want to get a little bit more like what's the
yeah,
crux
I
of it
think
for you?
yeah, it's just when I see that word or I hear it, it has like it has just a negative connotation, and I guess that's just how it is, right? But like I would like to like look at anything, like even hate, or fear, like not to have it have that like awkwardness, if that makes sense, or like how can we embrace this basically and be detached? Maybe it's too much and like too
Yeah.
what.
No, I I my kind of template answer that I really do believe in, even though it's hard, is to try to bring things back to you in the I statement and sort of, I am so rather than being like you're a narcissist for these reasons, like that usually doesn't go over well. But it's like, this is it's kind of like what am I willing to tolerate? Are what are you willing to tolerate? What are your boundaries? How are you showing up? If you don't like you can you can, I mean, obviously social media is tricky because they like follow you everywhere, but you can try to find ways to kind of limit your like I don't read a ton of the news because I don't like consuming negative shit all day, right? So I guess one answer would be like, again, like think about ways that you can kind of sort of show up even if it's in a relationship to someone that is problematic. And also when I'm working with people, like I sort of jettison the terms because there's all sorts of things. There's borderline personality disorder, there's antisocial, there's so many different tendencies, and we're all essentially everyone's on a spectrum too. So now it's not even a binary thing. It's like, how are you in the spectrum of like this is causing you problems with this person, or so there's so many things about it. But um I would try to bring the locus of control back to you. That's my general thing of like, how can you self advocate? How can you assert your boundaries, or whatever, so um I'm not getting the sense that you love that answer, but what's coming up for you? Is that what do you think of like what?
Oh, yeah, no, I think my question is around like this aha moment came when you were talking of like I feel it's important to have a toolbox. Not just like processing and going through whatever our personal journey is, but acknowledgement that like these influences do exist in our society, and then like how can we see that in a positive way? So like a toolbox, I think, is more so like what's in our toolboxes, on an everyday thing, if that makes sense, was like how to reframe that came to mind. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, we could explore a lot of different tools, but I think you used one of my tools in the toolbox of reframe of like, oh my God, everyone's a narcissist. Like, this is horrible. And the world, there's so many, or, the awareness is coming up, like the mental health, like it's a positive thing. I really think reframing everything that sort of bothers you and irritates you and feels negative is a really good toolbox first step of like, it's not that, well, mental health actually is getting, but it's like with the awareness, like there's more opportunities, there's more way, like we want to be bringing to light things. So it's like basically what's better, to ignore the problem or to be like, oh, the awareness and education is increasing, so we're gonna have better ways to manage it, right? So super random example, microplastics everywhere. Now you're ingesting plastic. Well, you can just pretend, you could be like, oh my God, this is horrible. This feels like a negative blanket. Or you could be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy we're figuring out another thing that is plaguing us. And with that education, with that awareness, we have more ways to solution it. We have more ways to respond. So I think kind of like trying to find ways to put a positive reframe, right? And you can do that on a global, oh my God, the world level, or you can do it on a very micro you level. Like you went through a relationship or you have a relationship that was hard or you don't like it. And the reframe is, oh, I'm so excited to see how this turns my life around, or how this ends up being happening for me. So, I think it'd be a longer discussion to give you every tool, but maybe just play with a little bit of like how you're relating to this stuff, and try to, and just even us going through this and trying to get to the bottom of like what's really bothering you, or like what's really the issue. I think that's a useful inquiry. Like, oh, this term's all over the place. Okay, it feels like a negative blame. Well, why is that? How is that an issue for you? I think just even you asking and trying to explore this is a tool in and of itself.
Mm.
But yeah, I think maybe it would be a longer discussion. But I think the reframing of negative stuff is a quick grab and go.
Yeah, I was just posing the question in general, like and again, that's why I started with maybe it's me personally feeling it, because we can only experience our own inner reality, or our perception of reality from our experience. But like, yeah, in society, I think there's this negative connotation. And as I said, like I think I have a good like outlook on it, and really have like gained so much from such challenging times. So yeah, just like how can we lift each other up in it, I guess was my point.
I think
Yeah.
that's the entire purpose of the kind power, to unite and help to lift each other up and spread the kindness globally.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you being here is your toolbox.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you for reflecting that.
There was a question, I think, from Cheryl regarding the shelters. Actually, it's a great question, and thank you, Annie, for responding to that. Because the situation is that a lot of us women who have been through narcissistic or emotional abuse, they have lost everything. In many cases, they have lost home, money. I was actually doing some real estate investments, and I had this lady in Austin applying to get application for one of the apartments that I was leasing. And she was in a situation where she was in a very like financially off family situation until she started going for divorce. And then she had 3 kids, and was trying to get like a trial divorce or something like that. But then she's trying to apply for this place. And then I realized that it's not like but she doesn't even have a bank account. She doesn't even know what is a credit score. And now she's left out on the street with 3 kids and not even be able to do anything in her life. And there are lots of situations like that. And unfortunately, you don't have to go to emerging market, Africa, or into poor neighborhood. It happens everywhere. So we do need to build in the future programs that would help women in this type of situations. not just for coaching. In this case, like it's financial support, it's financial literacy education, budgeting, a lot of things. We currently have a person on our team who is helping homeless women with just some basic stuff. What she's doing, she's basically getting like this basic package with clothing, some of the necessities, hygiene products, and taking them to the areas where the homeless women are. Especially, she sees a lot of those on weekends. Some of them have been raped at night. Look, very tragic situation. So this type of women do need our help as well. And even look, like maybe look, we're not there yet to help them with coaching and healing, but we are trying to help them with some basic necessities at least. So thank you so much for this great question. I think there was also a question from Lucia, and I think that's more related to generational trauma, like where like one of the family members is a narcissist. Yeah, so you give up and took a distance, but they keep trying to change the person. Like, yeah, like any insights, Brian, into this type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think family is the most difficult one, right? You kind of don't get to pick your family. Um, and if you think you're enlightened, spend a weekend with your family and get back to me. Um, yeah, I mean, I think ultimately you have to make, I mean, that's a tough, like ultimately you have to make decisions. Like you said, you gave up on him, but they and you take distance, but they keep trying to change him. And so it's like speaking from my own family dynamics and stuff, like I think when you try to like push and press and it's hard when it's family because you want it so bad and you want a certain outcome and you want them to change and what you in your mind what's right. And because you presumably love them and it's family, it's like that's what makes it so hard. But that's really, from my own experience, not the, you just do your best to love them kind of as you can and sort of lead by example. So you're like, I gave up, I'm taking distance, I'm prioritizing myself. Maybe they notice that, but either way, you're doing your best to sort of lead by the example. But I don't think there's, quite honestly, I don't think there's anything that I can say on a, off the cuff FAQ presentation that like I mean that's a deep dive kind of situation. So I don't want to, you know, like that require, I mean, it depends on narcissistic madness. And I'm not trying to like bypass or cop it up, but it's like narcissistic madness could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So it depends on maybe the severity of like what, like, so, but in general with family, what I can say in general with family is like, as much as I want them to get it or to change or to do that, I've really taken a big step back and just be like, okay, how can I show up in a way that doesn't tank me, right? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think I really think sometimes the most selfless thing to do can ironically be a bit quote selfish. Like you have to make sure you're okay and you can't just keep, at the massive expense of yourself, try to change and save people that, do they want to be changed? Are they going to do that? So it's, I think in my own life, take a massive step back, think about how you want to show up and lead by example. If and when people want advice or want the input, like they might come to you and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the family stuff with that kind of dynamic, like that would, I think, need a little bit more of a deep dive. So I really wish I could like magic wand your problem is going away, but I I don't know how to do that right now. So I think that would require a bit more of a, understanding what's really going on.
Yeah. And I think thanks for ideas because generational trauma could be a topic of a webinar on its own. Because again, just another example, I was just meeting with a lady the other day where she mentioned her grandma was a narcissist, and that impacted the way her mother was raised, and then kind of all trickled upon the way she was raised. So that's kind of creates that generational trauma, and how do you break that bond? So it's a lot of things that go into that. Let's have another webinar and have it as a topic. Any other questions that we have missed, or feedback? If no other questions, I think Eliza, do you want to take a few moments? Eliza, she's still here.
Yeah, sorry, I had to move the tab to unmute myself. Yeah, so can you guys see me? Because I can't see myself. I'm happy to share a song. So I just started this, I just started writing this song. So it's a new thing, but it's inspired by you guys. So
Maybe before you start singing, do you want to just maybe have like a few minutes explaining, what you are trying to accomplish? Because we just recently partnered with Eliza, and she has her own nonprofit organization with a similar mission.
yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for that, Juliana. My name's Eliza, as you guys now know, and I had a narcissistic relationship that I thought I was gonna die, actually, like had nightmares of him killing me, and it was just yeah, it was really scary, and in India on the other side of the world, but it brought up so much more. And I feel like anything that's ever happened in my life, whether it's a personal experience or what I see socially, is an opportunity to get inspired by that. And so I've been working in the media and marketing industry for almost 2 decades now, just about that. And I really want to inspire creating projects, campaigns that bring light, especially where there's darkness. So from my own experience and personal journey, I now want to make a movie about that experience. And I'm here to connect and listen to others and share stories. One of my songs is called Stories. And yeah, everything I do is to share my voice to inspire others and to connect on a higher level, because I think that that's what we're here to do, is to grow and to make the world a brighter place. So yeah. So my nonprofit's called Media of Society, and we focus on empowering women through film, music, and education programs. Yeah, and so I've worked around the world on that, and now living in Austin. So yeah, last little story I'll share is that I was brought up in the music industry. My dad works in the music industry, and only recently found out that there's definitely some narcissistic behaviors or experiences with that. And I never felt like I had a voice actually growing up, and I didn't realize that until years later healing. And I just love to sing, and I love music. So I always had always wrote songs to like deal with things and to express myself, but I wouldn't sing. And when I started taking singing lessons, I realized I wasn't even breathing properly, and had fear and anxiety a lot as a kid. And now I'm taught yoga internationally, and breath work and meditation, and so like again, just turned all that pain into power. And that's what I want to share with you guys. So this is a work in progress, okay? But it always is. Can you guys hear me? Because I feel like it's weird when no one says anything. I really appreciate the like space and listening, I feel, but I just want to get like a thumbs up or something. Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks so much. Awesome. Let's do this. Storm may shake the world, I know, but through it my roots still grow. The winds don't break me, they reveal a stronger strength I've come to feel. They reveal a deeper love I've come to feel, turning pain to power, rising strong through the fire. What once broke me now lifts me higher, turning pain into power. The wounds I hid, the tears I cried, were steps I took to reach inside. Each trial carved a deeper truth and led me back to love and proof. Led me back to love and proof. The hardest days revealed the gift. In every fall I found a lift. What I called, I knew that was gonna happen. What I called loss was grace in disguise. It opened me and made me rise. The kind power. We rise up and shine together. The kind power. We rise.
Thank
I
you so
had a
much.
feeling. Yeah. My one fear was that the light was going to go out on the iPad while I was doing it, and it did. So, but I think part of the kind power is showing that we're perfectly imperfect and just here for the journey of life. So thank you guys for being a part of it.
And we are right on time. Great job, everybody. It was so nice, so hard, warming to have you all on this virtual webinar. And please join our webinars in the future. And thank you so much, Brian, for all of your presentation as well.
Thank you so much. This is great. Thank you all for your time and attention. Hope you got something from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Namaste.